Did you know that January 5th is National Bird Day? I just discovered that. Sounds like a pretty fun holiday. I enjoy my lovebird, and I'm sure that every once in a while, if you've listened to a lot of my videos, you can hear her in the background. She likes to talk to me, and I kind of enjoy the chatter. In any case, in honor of National Bird Day, I decided to make this block called Birds and Kites. It's kind of a continuation of some of the weird shaped triangles that I sewed together in our Happy New Year block, so it'll be a great add-on to that block. This is Penny Holgren from quiltblocklibrary.com. I hope you'll join me in watching how I sew this Birds and Kites quilt block together. I'm ready to get started. Let's go. This is a 4-patch quilt block, and each of these patches is the same, so you can see it's divided up. You know, there's one patch, and they're facing different directions, but they're all the same. So I've cut my fabric out, and I've laid them, all of the patches just stacked up, because I'm going to sew each of the patches together. And then once I get the patches sewn together, I'll lay it out as the block is going to get sewn together. So the first challenge here is to figure out how to sew these together. So that it makes some kind of sense and you don't end up sewing set-in seams. So the first thing I'm going to do is sew these together, these two patches, and then just exactly on the opposite side I'm going to sew these two little patches together, the triangles, and then I'll sew these together as a unit, and then I'll attach all of them. So the first thing to do is make sure that I'm going to sew these right sides together. And you can see I just folded my fabric in half as I cut it. So I need to turn it over. So the first thing I'm going to do is just place these two triangles right sides together, and I'll just go ahead and stitch down. And I'm going to stitch all of these and all of these. Now I have these two triangle sets sewn together, and so I'm going to stitch these together. And it doesn't really matter whether I start here or here, but the idea is just to fold these right sides together and sew these triangles onto the center diamond. I started at the top, so I've got the diamonds sewn onto the top triangle, and now I just need to add the bottom triangle on. And again, make sure the right sides together, so I'm just going to fold that up and stitch the bottom ones on. Now I'm ready to sew these patches together, and I'm just going to fold the top one down this way so that these are right sides together. And you can see that's going to fit together kind of different. Need to make sure that your ends here are lining up, and to whatever degree possible you can match up your seam allowances here so that you've got nice crisp corners where your triangles meet. That's not it, but it's going to take a while for me that's closer, to make sure that those are matched up, and then I'll put a pin in it before I sew it. In any case, I'm going to attach the sides here to the center. Now I've got these two sections sewn together. I just need to add this one on, and it's the same idea as just fold it down right sides together. And in my case, it helps to fold the seam allowances in opposite directions. And then because this fabric is so light, I can actually see through where this bottom seam allowance is in order to line up these corners on the triangles. So you're just lining them up, stitching. Now the patches are sewn together, so it's time to lay them out as they need to be sewn together to make the block. So it's pretty easy actually, since they're just 4 patches. The two opposite corners go the same direction, and those two opposite corners go the same direction. So now all I need to do is sew the top 2 together and the bottom 2 together, and then I'll be ready to sew the rows together. So I'm just going to go ahead and sew these and match up the top seam and the bottom, and then this I'm going to try to make whatever I can possible to be in the center of that, just so it looks like it's lined up. Okay, I've got the top 2 patches on the top row sewn together and the bottom ones, so now all I need to do is fold these down and stitch this final seam. So our birds and kites block is finished now, And this was a relatively easy block to sew together, although I gotta tell you, I had a hard time matching up my points. You need to be careful because there are a lot of bias seams in there and it's just a little bit tricky. But I'm sure you can do a great job sewing this block together. You may want to head on over to nationalbirdday.org and check out all the great activities for birds on January 5th for National Bird Day. In addition, if you're not already there, head on over to quiltblocklibrary.com where you can get your free download of this Birds and Kites pattern. This is Penny Hallgren. Thanks for joining me. Happy National Bird Day. Oh, and of course, peaceful piecing.